Computer accounts. In addition to having user and group objects, Active Directory also uses computer objects to represent computers that are authorized to log onto your domain. Computer objects can be created automatically, such as when you promote a server to a domain controller or you first log a computer onto the domain. However, in the case of a new computer first logging onto a domain, a dialog box will pop up asking for administrative credentials in order to create the new computer object in Active Directory. Of course, you can also create computer objects manually using Active Directory users and computers. In Active Directory users and computers, we'll right-click on our Computers OU, select New, Computer. Now this is pretty easy. First we need to provide the DNS name of the new computer. Now we'll create a new computer account for Bob, so we'll call this Bob's PC. We can see here under the pre-Windows 2000 name, this information is populated for us automatically. Down here we can choose a user or group that is allowed to join this computer to the domain. The default here is the domain admins group. We can change this if we wish, but the default here for us is fine. Next we get to choose whether we want to have this computer account for a pre-Windows 2000 computer such as a Windows 98 or NT box, or if this computer account is going to be for a backup domain controller. Now in our case this is neither of these, so we'll simply click Next. Now we get to choose whether this computer will be a managed computer. If you don't select this box and just click Next, the wizard will basically be finished, give you a summary of what it's going to create, and then the account will be created. We'll go back and we'll actually check the box to create a managed computer. Now a managed computer is a computer that can be managed by a remote installation server or RIS server. And we won't get into RIS here as we have other videos that cover RIS in detail, but it's basically a server that can remotely manage and install an operating system on a managed computer. Okay, so if you do select the Managed Computer checkbox, it will require you to fill in a globally unique identifier or a GUID. So what is a GUID and how do you get one? Well, the answer to the first question, a GUID is the unique identifier for your computer. But how do you get that GUID? Well, the ID is supplied by the client computer manufacturer. It's a 32 character string composed of numbers from 0 to 9 and the letters from A to Z. So to find this GUID, you have a few options. It's generally either found on your product documentation that came with your computer or on a sticker on the side of your computer, or you can find this information in the BIOS. Alternatively, you can also query your computer using WMI to find out this information. You would query the Universally Unique Identifier UUID value of the Win32 _ computer system product class for this information. Well, this is all good, but sometimes you just cannot find this information or it's seemingly just too difficult to find it. But you do have a couple of options here. You could use a network sniffer to capture a DHCP discover packet from the client. Within that packet will be a UUID. Or the final alternative here is to fudge it. If we drop out to a command prompt and we type in ipconfig/all, we can get here our MAC address. Now recall that we are after a unique identifier for our computer. Of course, our MAC address is supposed to be unique, so we can just use that. So I'll just cut and paste that out. I will paste that into here. Now we need to remove the hyphens because they are an invalid character here. So we'll remove those. Now if you recall, I said the characters limit has to be 32 characters. So what we'll do is we'll just pad this out with zeros. And we'll click Next. Now we get to select which RIS server we want to use for this computer. The default is any available RIS server. If you want to choose a specific one, we can check this button here and then search for that computer. We'll just leave the default as any and we'll click Next. Now we get our summary and we'll click Finished, and here we are, Bob's PC computer account has now been created and it's able to be managed from the RIS server that we specified. Okay, so we'll right click on Bob's PC computer account and we'll select Properties. Now I'm not going to go through all of these tabs as most of them we've gone through in the users and groups videos, but there's a couple of tabs here that are unique to computer accounts, so we'll quickly gloss over these as they're all covered in later videos anyway. The first one here is the Operating System tab. When a computer logs in for the first time or the computer account is created automatically, the operating system information will be collected and populated here. For example, with a Windows XP Professional computer, we would see Windows XP Professional listed here under the name field. Under the version field, we would see 5.1, and whatever service pack we have on that operating system would be listed here. The next tab is the Location tab. Here, this would allow you to specify which Active Directory site that this computer is a member of. Now, we will cover sites in later videos. And finally, we have the Dial-In tab, which allows us to configure the dial-in policy for this computer accounts. Okay, so let's go back and take a further look at what other options we have for creating computer accounts. We'll cancel out of this. We'll go back to our command prompt. Another option we have is to use the net computer command to quickly create a few computer accounts. So in our command prompt, we would type net computer, followed by the add switch, as we want to add a new computer account, and then the name of the computer. We'll just call this one Test PC. And we'll hit enter. We get a confirmation message saying it completed successfully, and we'll come in here and we'll refresh, and we can see Test PC has indeed been created. Now, by default, the new computer account you created with the net computer command will be placed in the computer's OU. Now, we can also create computer accounts using the netdom utility. This utility is located on the Windows 2003 Server CD. We'll just explore our CD here, go to our support and tools, and we will need to install the support tools MSI file. So we'll click next. Okay, the installation's finished, so we'll just close out of this. If we click Start, All Programs, Windows Support Tools, we'll open up a command prompt which just takes us to the correct directory. A quick dir will show us there's quite an array of tools that actually were installed with this product. So we'll go and take a look at the netdom utility. If we simply type out netdom and hit enter, we can see that we've got quite a few sub-options for this command. If we just want to bang out a few computer accounts quickly, we only need to type netdom, add, and then the computer name. So we'll call this one testpc2. And we can see the command completed successfully. We'll go back to Active Directory users and computers, and we'll refresh the screen, and again we can see that that account has now been created. Now, as you can see here, with the netdom utility, we do have quite a few sub-options, such as we can join the computer account to a certain OU or move it to another one. So there are quite a few options with this command that you do not get with the net computer command. So be sure to take a good look through the online help to find out what you can do with this useful utility.